Hey everybody, how we doing tonight? Prep Nurse One here. Hope everybody's week was good. It's Friday already. The time goes by so freaking fast. It's unbelievable. Uh, so before we get in everything, I'm going to give it a couple minutes. So I'm going to talk about my weather real quick. Last 2 days have been very, very warm. Yesterday we ended up pulling in 3.0 kilowatt hours on the day, which was really our best day of the year so far. And we had another good day today. So real happy about that. A lot of snow has melted. Now we can't. I had to go down off the hill tonight, but there's no snow down below. But we still do have some up here, up in the hills. So, but that's all right. That's part of what you have to deal with. So, okay. Before we get going, I got to give a shout out real quick. A friend of mine up in Canada, who's also off grid. I just want to give a quick hello to Amanda. How you doing, hon? I hope everything's going good. So I just wanted to say hi to her real quick. So yeah, so hey from Minnesota, how you doing tonight? Prepper Rabbit, did you find a place to make your burrow yet down there in Tennessee? I hope so. Okay, so anyway, before we get started, got to lay down the ground rules like I do every time, and every time we got to throw somebody off. Unfortunately, because people don't realize that we're not going to put up with nonsense. Please be kind to each other. It's really important to me because I'm not going to tolerate any kind of racism, any kind of anything negative. If you're going to act like that, my moderators will boot you. So they keep an eye on everything. They keep an eye on the chat when I can't, and so they will kick you out if you act like a jerk. So please don't act like a jerk. Be nice to each other. Okay. Once I'm done talking, if you have a question, please put it all in cap locks. Okay. So before we get going too, I just, like I said, I like to put that out there every time, just because, this is a family gathering. To me, it is. Okay. I mean, my people that follow me on YouTube, we're all a big family, and hopefully we're connecting with other people and making those good connections with like-minded people that have the same thought process that we do. So, we want to stay positive. Okay. So, getting into the video, let's talk about preppers being paranoid. I had to laugh. I had a couple of comments recently, and they both went into my spam folder, so nobody got to see them except for me, and I had a good laugh on both of them. Somebody was like, well, you're paranoid delusional and you really need to get help. And I just laugh. I think that's freaking hysterical. Because anybody that knows me knows I'm not paranoid at all. And, I'm a realist. And, so that's, I thought that was kind of funny. So let's talk about, are preppers paranoid? Or do we, basically more in tune with things than the average person? And, so the short answer is no. I do not think preppers are crazy. I do not think that they're paranoid. I think some people can be paranoid if you take things too far, and don't continue to live your life. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of healthy paranoia. I think everybody should have a little bit of healthy paranoia. But if you take anything can be taken to the extreme, guys. So, that's people are going to think what they're going to think. People that are, I like to call it asleep at the switch. They see people like us that are preppers that don't think like everybody else thinks, and they automatically put us into this box. And well, they're crazy, and they're paranoid, and they're delusional, and everything else. And where the people that are awake, we look at them and think that they're delusional because they can't see their hand in front of their face and can't see what's really truly going on, which is kind of scary. I was watching today. I was watching a video from the Reverend Ken Fox. I think it's Ken. Ron, whatever. I'm completely going blank on his name. Is it? I don't know. But anyway, I was watching his video today, and if you guys, the Viking preparedness, okay. So I can't think. Joe Fox, thank you very much. I knew somebody would come in here and tell me the right name. I don't know where I was getting Ken from, but yeah, the Reverend Joe Fox from Viking Preparedness, and I was watching his video today. And obviously everybody knows the events by now that happened in New Zealand. And he's, talking about different people are going to put different spins on it, which they are, and they will. And but the bottom line with that is, the powers that be here, especially in the United States, I mean, a lot of Europe has already had their teeth taken out, if you will. They've been disarmed already. So the powers that be here are trying to use anything that they possibly can to disarm us. And he made a great point, and this is what my point I was going to get to. What they want is obedient slaves, meaning the powers that be, whoever's really truly in charge of things. They want obedient slaves. Well, you can't be an obedient slave if you're able to defend yourself. And so that's why they don't want us to be able to be armed to defend ourselves. And that's why they're going to label us as crazy and paranoid and delusional, because it's like they're scared. People are scared. And usually when people are scared, I have found a lot of times that they lash out. And when they lash out, they're going to attack people that they think are different or not the same and stuff like that, that they are. Okay. So we're preppers, we're a huge target for those type of people, because they just want to be in their little bubble and be protected and not think that anything is ever going to change, that everything is always going to be the same. I think that people that are preppers are definitely more in tune with what's going on. They're not just watching Fox News, or just not watching CNN. They're just not watching CNBC. They're not watching the regular news channels, 8, 10, and 13. They're not just watching those news channels and going, oh, whatever they tell me is the truth. I think that people that are preppers, people that are off grid, are more awake, and we can see through the BS. I think that's the biggest difference between preppers and non-preppers. We see through the BS, and we realize we're being sold a false bill of goods, if you will. And so that's why I think we're more awake. And where these other people, we look at them and I always say it to it, I go, I can't fathom why anybody would not have a minimum of 2 weeks worth of food and water. It just blows me away. I can't understand why people aren't even just prepared, especially when they listen to everything the government says, and the government says that you should do that. And now, like I said, the government is now up that. FEMA has now up that. If you go to Red Cross, they're going to tell you 2 weeks, but FEMA had now upped that to 6 months. So what do they know that we don't? And the best part is, and somebody just made the comment, the price of food goes up every year. Absolutely it does. It's never going to go down. It's like your car insurance. It's never going to go down. Like anything else, everything else is going up, up, and up, except your pay, of course. And, and you get worse and worse benefits all the time. So, those are things that people, they just want to go through their motions and pretend everything's going to be fine. And those are the people that when something happens, they're going to panic the worst. The non-believers, the ones that don't see, the cart before the horse, if you will. They're the ones that are going to be in big, big trouble. And, and the thing is, to me, is it paranoid to say, I would rather prepare for the worst and hope for the best than not have something and need it? I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. That's just, and the thing is, again, for me personally, and I've said this to you guys a million times already, it's about my kids. And anybody out there that's a parent, and if you give a crap about your kids, why are you not preparing for just even a 2-week emergency for your children? I mean, it's amazing. And and 95% of people don't do it. And even more than that, don't have a game plan, so it's a very, very scary thing. Lynn Reed says, I can't believe how even the price of bananas has gone way up, 59 cents a pound now. Yeah, it's everything. Everything is going up in price, again, except for our paychecks. And, they've gotten rid of so many of the manufacturing jobs in the United States. Why do you think up, in Michigan and Detroit and those areas are now basically, they're in deep, deep trouble. They don't have the manufacturing jobs anymore. People are not making that good money anymore. We've turned into a service industry in this country. That's what we do. We're a service industry. And when we used to be a manufacturing company, all those jobs have been shipped out overseas because they'll do it cheaper. So, that's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy in my opinion. So, and, it amazes me that people don't. In SHTF, bananas will be a fond memory. Yeah, that's exactly. They sure will be. There won't be any more bananas unless you have some dehydrated bananas kicked back. You're it's going to be insane. Let's see. Food riots are a good trigger for martial law. Absolutely. I mean, when something happens, guys, they will lock this country down like that. one day, it's like, and that's the biggest thing when I've talked before about the race war thing, that they're always trying to pit us against each other and trying to get people to be fighting amongst ourselves. They want that because if they can jump something like that off, they can lock us all down with martial law, and then the Constitution is suspended, and there's nothing you can do about it. What do we got here? I just sent my son in Indiana a bug out bag with the explicit and detailed instructions on where to go. That's awesome, Mike. That's very, very good. It's very, very good. I know I have family in the area that is not too far. Mountain Girl, thank you very much, and I appreciate that. Very nice of you. Thank you for the donation. I have family pretty close that I always am telling them, when it happens, you come here, and they know. They know. My niece has 3 boys, and my great nephew, and this is kind of funny. He's only 2 years younger. Her oldest son is only 2 years younger than my guys. So, and I think that's freaking a riot. That my niece's kids are almost the same age as mine. But I waited till I was older. Yeah, said I remember the race riots back here in the '60s. Yeah, they happened in Rochester too. They happened in Rochester, New York. There was riots and stuff like that. It was crazy. But the thing is something like that jumped off on a large scale, guys, they would use that as an excuse now. They would absolutely use it as an excuse now. I remember they locked Boston down overnight, and it's maybe the 3rd biggest city on the East Coast. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, the early '60s. I was a baby, so I don't remember it happened, but I remember reading about it and seeing it, later, studying history. What do we got here? Mountain Girl just said, I've had the same conversation with my 2 sons. You should. Anybody that you really, truly care about, that you want to be with you, have them come. Have them come. The west side of Chicago burned, helped no one, especially the people who live there. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's just like when they had the whole, you guys, a lot of you probably remember the whole Rodney King thing, the situation, and when the verdict came back and people were flipping out, and, the biggest thing I could never understand with any group of people, I don't care what color they are, why do you destroy your own neighborhood? It doesn't make any kind of sense to me whatsoever. I can understand people being angry, as far as that goes, but, why would you, destroy your own things? It just makes absolutely no sense to me. Randy Newman, I just ate Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell. I'm not lying. Taco Bell's like my favorite. I love it. Any ideas for prepping the Northwest with an imminent 9.0 earthquake coming? Again, with something like that, if you're gonna build like a bomb shelter or a bug out shelter type of thing underground, extra rebar, tons of concrete, make it so solid that it could withstand a 9.0. You prepare for the worst again and hope for the best. With those type of things, it's with those type of things, you really want to go overkill. Okay, so you really want to make your structures way beyond what they say you should do. So if it says 1 or 2 pieces of rebar, put 4 or 6 in there. So yeah, Robert just said only a good person with a gun can stop a crazy shooter. Absolutely. When you disarm everybody, and I've talked about this before, if you disarm everybody, the only people that are going to have guns are criminals and cops. And I don't want to be sitting in a restaurant someplace and have some lunatic come in and start shooting the place up and not be able to defend myself and my family. I personally would probably rush them, because if I know I'm going to die anyway, I'm going to try to take them out if I can. But it's just I'm not going to sit there and wait for them to come around and shoot me. How do you store ketchup, mustard, and mayo packets from the restaurants? It's mayo has a shelf life. Those type of things, they're not great for long-term storage. They do have a shelf life. So having 3 or 4 and having them in rotation is not a bad thing to do. Beyond that, they start to go bad after a certain, especially mayonnaise. Mayonnaise will definitely go bad on you. So while I'm thinking about it, I wanted to mention a couple things here real quick. Legacy is doing the sale right now. It's a 20% sale off of everything. And the way that I had to do it on my website, they have that. And they also have the 183 meal bucket, mega sample bucket, they call it, available. That is available as well, but we can't put that on. So if you're interested in that, it's normally $380. It's on sale right now for $229. And actually, I've had a lot of people contact me and take advantage of that. And so, that's, a great sale. It's like a 40% savings. So if you're interested in the mega bucket there, the 183 sampler bucket, contact me, at my email, preppernurse1@yahoo.com, or through the website, and we will get you hooked up and get you walk through that process. Also on the website, we have the Prepper Nurse One community, and with that, it's a great place to meet like-minded people, to talk to. If you're looking to try to form a group in your state, you sign up for your state. We also have single preppers, we have disabled preppers, and we have senior preppers. So we have different subgroups as well that you can join into. It's a great place to talk to like-minded people. It's very, very private. Nobody from the outside can just come in and see it. You have to be registered. And so it's a great way to meet like-minded people. Okay, so I just wanted to let you guys know about the sale. And again, that's at my website, preppernurse1.com. So if you want to go check that out, feel free. Okay, so somebody had asked on here as I was talking about this, and I want to address it. They said, does Legacy give out free samples? They don't. They do have a sample pack that they sell on there, and it's normally $40. And right now with the 20% off, you can get that for $32. So if you were interested in trying some stuff out before you made a larger purchase, that's a great way to do it. I've had a lot of people do that. They try the sample pack and then they come back in and they buy a bigger purchase. If you feel like it's good, then go from there. And if you want to go with a bigger purchase, like I said, right now, and again, it doesn't necessarily, like I said, that's what's going on with Legacy. If you feel comfortable getting your stuff from somebody else, wherever you feel comfortable doing it, do it. Okay. It should be part long-term food storage, freeze-dried food should be part of your preps. Not, you definitely in correlation with everything else. Okay. Mike said, had a good question. I didn't see the question. I'm sorry. I did not see what the question was. I'm sorry. I'm a new prepper. I'm learning a lot from you. Thank you, from Florida. Well, Deborah, you're very welcome. I mean, and the thing is, it's like we can all learn from each other. And that's the good thing about talking with like-minded people, having conversations, and there's great ideas at a lot of people. Mike, just if you tell me, go ahead and put her question back up there again, if you would do that, please, because I can't go back while I'm trying to watch everything else. Did I join the Connecticut group? Oh, he's asking somebody else. Okay. I got my cats up here. A couple of them anyway. They're always here. Long-term storage is the way to go. At my age, the food will outlast me, Kevin H. just said. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Again, it's better to have it and not need it, guys, than to need it and not have it. And, it's being prepared is just a smart thing to do. So, and Kevin just said, and there's no rotating. Exactly. That like Legacy has a 25-year shelf life on their food. So you can just set it aside, cool, dry place, like in a closet, something like that. And, that's the way to go. Somebody just said they just ordered some heirloom seeds. That's a good thing to have too. But the more important thing, seeds are great, guys. And I have a ton of seeds myself. Knowing how to garden. As a nurse, can you tell us about the prospects of going to a hospital during a pandemic? Great question. Thank you for asking that. I would, if we're having a pandemic, do not take your loved one to a hospital. Absolutely do not. Oh, Tom Smith, thank you very much. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. And thank you for that comment. It's very nice of you. Thank you. Taking your loved one to a hospital if there's a pandemic, there's nothing going to be but sick people. And if your loved one is already sick, you could probably give them better care at home than they would receive in the hospital, and they would probably die there anyway if there's some kind of major pandemic, because the hospital is going to be stretched thin, and they're going to prioritize the most important people first, and your loved one may not be that. It may be the most important person in your eyes, but not in the hospital's eyes. Okay. Do you think our guns will be up for grabs when martial law takes over? I think that in a martial law situation, they may tell people to give up their guns. They may try to go door to door to try to get people's guns. I think what they would do first is anybody that has registered a gun, because in my opinion, registration leads to confiscation. Okay, so the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to go to all those people that have registered their weapons, and they're going to say, "Give us your guns." That's what's going to happen first. Okay. Down the road, they might get more creative and try to get people to rat on each other for whatever reward. It would not shock me. I mean, look what happened in Nazi Germany, guys. You know, they disarmed the populace, and then the populace can't fight back. So, should you do a show sometime on a pandemic? I can do a show on a pandemic, absolutely. I'll tell you what. Why don't we plan on this? When I do Sunday's show, we can talk about a pandemic and what it would be like and how you should do it. Hey, Vlad, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Thank you very much. But yeah, so Sunday's show, guys, you're hearing it first right here. Sunday's show will be about a pandemic, how to deal with it, and what you should do, and how to go around it. So Ken's talking about the gun bills. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. They're slowly trying to take things away, and if you go by the Constitution, the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed. So you're going to have to make a decision for yourself. Are you going to turn your guns over or not? Realizing that when you do not turn your guns over, now you have become a criminal. But again, it's going to be an individual decision base, guys. And I really think that people need to think about that, because two things happen when you're unarmed, okay? Two really important things. Let's say New York State. We're going to go with New York State because I live in New York. Let's say New York State says all guns got to go. You got to turn them all in, or you're going to face felonies and prison and yada, 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 okay? So everybody turns in their guns. Now, two things have happened because of that. The criminals have open season now because the criminals are not going to turn their guns in. Okay, that's number one. It's open season on people because now everybody is set up to be a victim because they know if they break into your house, they're not going to get shot. So that's number one. So think about that. Number two, they can do whatever they want to do after that, and there's not a thing you can do about it. And when I say they, I mean the powers that are in charge, whoever is making the decisions, because they have no fear of you anymore. I have people say, "Oh, well, how are you going to go up against the government and the military with, with M16s or AR-15s and that type of thing? When they have all these, smart bombs and tanks and blah, blah, blah." The different places that we have been in the world fighting guerrilla warfare, we've had superior firepower, and we were not allowed to win those wars, by the way, in my opinion. If we were allowed to win them, they would have been over rather quickly, but there is a lot of money to be made in war, so different people in charge want to drag the war out as long as they can because it's more money for their friends who are in power. So, yeah. So, what could the authorities do if you do not give up your guns? Roy, what they could do is they could say, okay, martial law is enacted. You have to turn in your guns. And if you haven't turned in your guns, they could say, we're going to be doing a house-to-house search. And they can start wherever they want and start searching everybody's homes. And there's not a thing you can do about it because under martial law, the Constitution has been suspended. Okay? So there's no more Constitution, so they can do whatever they want to do. So, you either hide your stuff, you bury it, whatever you're going to do, put it someplace else. Try to have it where you can get at it if you need it. But, if you fight back, they're going to kill you on the spot. And I would rather, guerrilla warfare is a very, very effective way to fight a war. I don't care if it's in the United States or wherever else is. Look what we did to the British Army way back in the day here in the United States, okay? They had the best army in the world, but we did a lot of guerrilla warfare. And you destroy the hearts and minds. You kill the will to fight is what you do. You cannot shoot the thugs in the hood, GG. Well, if they came into your house, you do what you have to do. But like I said, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm at the mercy of the criminal element or the police. I mean, there are a lot of good cops out there, guys. Don't let me say that there's not, okay? Because there's a lot of good cops out there, but there's also a lot of bad cops. And with anything, the underground American, a lot changed with the Patriot Act. It sure did. We gave up a lot of our rights with the Patriot Act, guys. A lot of our rights. Oh, she's asking. Okay, she was asking where to start. She's 64 in the burbs. You know what? Again, anybody just starting out, I'm going to talk about this real quick. And I know a lot of you are preppers and have been doing it for a while, but there's probably some people that are brand new to it and don't really know where to start, how to start. A 2-week supply of food and water. Work on that first. Once you have, for water, it's 1 gallon per person per day. Okay, that's the rule of thumb. So you're looking at 14 jugs of water for one person and 2 weeks worth of supply of food. That could be canned goods, dry goods, whatever you eat on a normal basis. Okay, so put 2 extra weeks worth of that away. And I don't care if it takes you a month or 2 months to get up to that. Build it up slowly if you don't have a lot of money to work with to start with, okay? But water is pretty easy to do. Water can be, put away pretty easily, okay? You don't have to go out and buy the water. And even if you do, like a 6 gallons of water, if you bought it at like Sam's Club, you're looking at, I think it's $5 or $6, something like that. So it's not like over the top expensive. But those plastic jugs, if they freeze, they will leak. So that's something to keep in mind. So anyway, but start out with that and then just continue to work from there. Extra clothes, blankets, candles, those are the type of things for a brand new, some way to start a fire, know how to start a fire. Those are things that you really should focus on in the beginning. 2 weeks worth of food and water, continue to add to that as you go, and then work on other things. Being able to stay warm, depending on what part of the country you're in, is going to be huge, guys. It's going to be huge. Exchange freedoms to security, end up with neither. You're exactly right, Underground American. You are exactly right. People that give up freedom in or you give up their rights in the guise of protection, you lose your freedom. So that's what we did. Huge. Thomas Turner says, work on your active health and your fitness. Absolutely. Great advice. Absolutely great advice. Oh, somebody just said their favorite saying is when and I've said this a million times and I'm going to say it again just because she had mentioned that. When SHTF happens, you have what you have. There's no more going to the store. There's no more running out to get anything else because that's going to be a very, very dangerous place to be at that point in time. So, what you have when SHTF happens, there's no more time to run out to the store. So get everything that you need that you can as you go and just try to do the best way you can. Hey, Ed, does Legacy Food offer small portions for people on a budget? Good question, Choo Choo. Like I said, they have sample packs, and the sample packs is it's 16 meals, and you can try the different products that they have. Okay, and that's one way that they do it to see if you like it. And like I said, it's normally $40 for the sample pack, and but you can you can do it that way to try different things. They have egg powder, they have dried milk, they have all kinds of different things that if you just wanted to try something like that, like I said, take advantage of the sale while they do a 20% off sale because those are good sales. Okay, so it's definitely a good thing to take advantage of those when you can. I'd rather freeze than burn. Summer be bad. Time for an EMP. You know what? Both times of the year, guys, would be horrible. Realistically, I think, in my opinion, winter would be worse. A lot of people in the Northeast would die in their homes because they're not prepared, and so that's it would be a very, very difficult thing. Trying to stay warm. That's why, I'm if you live in the Northeast. Candles, have a way to stay warm. Make sure you have, if you can have wool blankets, wool socks, all those type of things, get them now. They're not that expensive. Man-made EMP will happen in the winter for sure. Yeah, if they're going to do it, I think they would do it in the winter because you're going to have the highest casualties at that time because people are not going to be able to get out of their homes. They're going to be basically locked into their homes. Let's think about this, guys. Let's say I live in Colorado and look at the amount of snow that those guys get up in Colorado. They get a ton of snow. And look at in the Midwest this year, the amount of snow that people have gotten, okay? You got 2-3 foot of snow outside. There's nobody out there plowing the roads. You can't leave your home. You can't jump in your car. You are in your house. You're going to have what you have. So realistically, people are going to starve to death. They're going to freeze to death if they don't have a way to stay warm, if they don't have a way to feed themselves. And so that is a really, really scary scenario to think about. And they'll be finding a lot of skeletons is what they'll find when the spring comes around because people will not make it or they'll eat each other. That could happen too. Let's see. Do you think they will use 5G to restrain people to enforce confiscation? You know what? I really don't know as far as the 5G thing. I really haven't done a tremendous amount of research on that, to be honest with you. So I can't really give you an opinion one way or another. I've heard a lot of different things, but I really haven't delved into studying that much at this point. I need to look into it. I really do. And I want to do some research on that before I can give you guys any kind of opinion on that. I'm not going to guess. So, I just want to be honest. Winter EMP deadly here in Canada. Harvey, yeah, you are absolutely right. Very, very deadly. All right. What's the best kind of wood stove that's cheap? It really depends on your budget. It depends on, where you want to do your, what size that you would need. How much of an area are you trying to keep warm? Or are you trying to keep just a room warm? They have camping wood stoves that you can use. They're smaller ones. They don't burn a lot. But if you were like in one room and you could vent it out through the window somehow, that would be a great way to do it. Okay, a great way to do it. So, that would be, so again, the price of the wood stove really depends on your wants and needs. So like my wood stove, when I bought my wood stove, it was $550 is what I paid for my wood stove. It's actually more wood stove than I need for my house. Okay. Somebody just said, what about getting around roadblocks on foot? We'll talk about this since I just want to finish this up. So depending on what you want to get, there's a lot of smaller wood stoves that you can get, but then again, you got to think about piping and everything else as well. So it really, again, it depends on your wants and needs. I hope that answers your question on that. So getting around roadblocks on foot. One of the things I've talked about is the main roads a lot of times are going to have those blocked off in an SHTF situation. In martial law, there's always ways around everything, guys. There's back roads, there's bike paths, there's all those type of things. So definitely know your alternative routes other than just the main route, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to use those like as that choke point. So you want to have other ways to figure out how to get around. So that's going to be really, really important. Okay. So knowing your alternate routes, and if you're coming up on one area and you can tell that there's a checkpoint, know another way to go. Okay. How do we get the water out of the fluoride supply, or fluoride out of the water supply? If you can have access to any kind of spring, a well, get your water that way. I know with filtering it, if you, depending on, make sure you have a filter that's going to filter out the fluoride as well and filter that water. That would be a good way to do it, and it would get all the other stuff out as well. What are the chances that military personnel will use lethal force against civilians? Good question, Mike. Very good question. I'm sorry. I'm hot, guys. I had started the fire because it was like a chill in the house and it was a warmer day today, and I made it too hot and I'm just sweating right now. So I apologize. That's why I keep sweating here like this. I apologize. I think some military personnel will use force against their own people. I don't think most of them will. I think most of them would absolutely refuse because they have family and friends out there and they don't want people, to hurt their loved ones as well. So I think you're going to see a lot of people refuse to follow those type of orders. But there will be some that will. They could have other units that they have created and specifically, if you will, or for that certain type of event that are going to do what they're told no matter what. That's a good reason why they would bring in foreign troops. Let's see. Water tablets work. I've tried it, and also the straw. George just said that. Yeah, water tablets are a good way to purify water too. And the Sawyer straw, the different straws that they have out there, they all work very well. I mean, I haven't had any issues with any of those type of things. Yep, Chuck just said people need to learn skills like what I said in my video the other day, not just gardening. The more skills that you can acquire, guys, the better it's going to be for you in the long run. Uh, Again, one of the biggest things I think that people need to realize, know your wild edibles. Go ahead and buy those books. And they have them for locally wherever you are in the country or around in the world. Wherever you are, there's going to be books designed for your area that's going to give you that information of the wild edibles, the medicinal plants also in your area. Really important to have. Real important. Do you think they would join the resistance? Mike, good question again. I think that they would. I think people, especially like, if let's say my daughter's not going in the military, but let's say she went in the military and there was something going on and they were telling her to kill civilians and stuff like that. I think that she would absolutely get out of there, come home if she could somehow, and go that way. I really think that she would. So, yeah, I think that a lot of them will fight with their families and stuff like that. You got to remember, too, guys, and a lot of people don't think about this, there are a lot of ex-military out here in the U.S. and around the world. The U.K., a lot of trained soldiers that have been in, a lot of people that have seen combat. So, that's there's a lot of people that know what they're doing. So that's something to think about as well. It's like people want to joke around, and it's like even with myself, I'm a little overweight, and I'll admit it. I'm working on that. And now that the weather's getting nicer, I'm going to be able to get out and be more active, which is great because in the wintertime here, we have to hunker down. I mean, there's not a whole lot you're going to do outside. But, even though I'm a little overweight, I still know what I'm doing. That training doesn't go away. So it's not like you forget that. Oh, I'm fat, so now it's gone. Maybe I don't move as fast as I used to. Some random boy. Thank you for the donation. 28 stab wounds. What is? I don't understand what that is. I don't know what you mean by that. But yeah, there's those skills are still there. Ex-military guys definitely. We still know what we're doing. We didn't forget. I heard the food supply companies are selling their client list to the government. I don't believe that, Serena. I don't believe that. That's a lot of that's just very, very private. So I don't think that. And even if they did, so what? I mean, realistically, ooh, you bought 60 meal bucket, big deal. Who cares? I mean, are they going to go to everybody's house and give up your 60 meal bucket? What if you already ate it? I mean, it's you have to be realistic about stuff. When SHTF happens, I want you guys to really think about this, and I want you to be realistic. So when I talk about get out of the cities if you can, do it. And I'm going to tell you why. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. What they're going to do is they're going to concentrate on those cities because that's where most of the people are. They're going to lock those cities down, okay? Get out now while you can. If you can get out, get out. I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than that. I mean, I had to laugh. Somebody made a comment yeah, I see a lot of you prepper channels, you're all off living in the woods and doing that type of stuff. Yeah, because we want to be safe. We want our families to be safe. That's why we moved. I've lived in the city, guys. I've lived in suburbia. So, I've lived in both of those places. And once you get away from that and you get out into the country, first of all, the people are a lot nicer. They really, truly are. I mean, and they will help you. And if you've been part of the community for a while, you are part of that community, and they're going to work together for the most part. You're still going to have bad eggs that are not going to work together, but for the most part, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to work together. In the cities, it's going to be complete and utter chaos because you and everybody else who didn't get ready are going to be running around like chickens with their heads cut off. That's reality. I mean, so that's why I say, what I say. I mean, it's like I'm not trying to blow smoke up your behinds. I'm really not. I mean, I'm trying to be as honest with you guys as I possibly can be. They just installed these railroad grates on both sides of our bridge in Wisconsin and Minnesota. Wow, that's crazy. Merry Christmas just asked, don't you think it will be harder up north? Yes and no. Uh, People that prep in the north, it's going to be easier for us because we are prepared and we're ready for that long winter. Okay. People that don't prepare in the north is going to be a lot harder for those type of people because when an SHTF situation happens, yeah, our growing season is not as great. Rennie, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Um, the people, you know, that live in the north, we have the advantage of this. This is one of the biggest advantages that we have, okay? The advantage of the north is when it's wintertime, people are not going to be outside trying to get everybody's stuff because it's going to be too cold. And by the time the spring comes around, a lot of those people are going to be dead. Only the hardy and the strongest are going to be surviving that, and the people that are ready. So, when people have that wood stove and they're able to stay warm and they have backup food and those type of stuff, that's how it'll be. And somebody just said zombies will freeze. That's actually pretty funny, but that's the way it'll be. Okay, that's absolutely the way it'll be. So, I think that's a huge advantage for the North. I know the South has a longer growing season, which is an advantage in that aspect. But you're also going to have more people fighting for those foods down there than you would up in the North. Sam Man said, please help me get into a community. I'm signed up. Like I said, whatever state you're in, look for the people in that state or that country and, start talking with people within the group. And that's how you can try to find somebody that has a group and maybe you can connect that way. If you are not prepared in the North, then dig a hole. That's about right. You're right about that, Smitty. And, the people, and the North isn't just, like the northern states. It's Canada too, guys. So, being prepared for that whole, up here in our area, it's very, very smart. What about Montana? I feel like we're blind. You guys, again, Montana, you get a lot of bad weather up there too. Like I said, prepare for yourselves. Get as ready as you can be. I mean, think about the fact let's say they hit us with an EMP early. Buy lead and something to deliver it. Rennie Steps. Thank you again for the donation, Rennie, and good comment. You're right. You definitely need to be able to protect yourself. I'm a big believer in that. But like I said, again, make sure you have, like if they hit us with an EMP, let's say in November, just really the start of the cold season. And then, you're talking December, January, February, and sometimes part of March. I mean, like, what is today, the 15th or something like that? Yeah, the 15th. 184 says, if you are part of a group, you need to take a collection of funds and purchase a dehydrator. Then you don't have to worry about your info being sold. A dehydrator is good to have. Absolutely. It's another way of doing it. And, and thank you again for the donation as well. But, again, with a dehydrator, you can do that, but it's not going to give you that long shelf life like if you get that freeze dried. I have a dehydrator myself. So there's certain things that I'm definitely going to dehydrate. But, like I said, again, having an eclectic mix of stuff, guys. Canned goods, really important to have canned goods. They have a lot longer shelf life than the Best By date. Trust me, they could last 10 years beyond that. I actually just had a can of beans tonight that was 2 years past the Best By date, and it was fine. So have plenty of head wax to put back. Yeah, right, exactly. I don't even put any wax on there. Merry Christmas said, I think most people in Canada will die in the winter. You know what? I don't agree with that, Merry Christmas, but thank you for the donation and thank you for the comment. A lot of people up in Canada, especially the farther out you get, that's what they do. They hunt, they trap. There's not a whole lot of people out there. Now, granted, they get a lot of supplies that come in, but if they knew that wasn't coming in anymore, they would do what they had to do, to survive. And I think that they're more prepared to survive than most people. And that's just my opinion on that. I mean, I could be totally off base, but that's just my opinion on that. Oh, big city Canadians will be toast. Absolutely. Toronto, Montreal, those people aren't ready. Absolutely, they're done. Just like New York City would be, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, those type of cities. Detroit, all those type of cities would be done. Oh my goodness, Thomas! Thank you very much, Thomas. Great donation. Thank you so much. Hey, Rennie, again, thank you for the donation. You're in Ontario, yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So, but that's a huge donation. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I just want people to know too. It's like, so because somebody had asked me before, what do I do with my donations when people give me donations? What I do with my donations, they go back into the homestead. There's a lot of projects that I'm going to be doing this year, and you're going to see where that money's going, guys. You're going to see it, because I don't live above my means. I don't live high in a hog. Any extra money that I get goes into my property, and it's going to help our lives be better. And it's another way for me to show you guys stuff. Like when I get my greenhouses and stuff up, you guys are going to see. I mean, it's going to be a lot, really, really cool when we get to that point. So that'll be awesome. How would you deal with people stealing from your garden? Modern Viking just said that. Honestly, people wouldn't know where we are, where my location is. We're pretty isolated. So after SHTF, the people are not going to be coming up here, like from the cities or the towns and stuff like that. They would never even make it up here, guys. I believe that the people that live up here will work together to help each other, to protect each other. And it won't just be my garden. There'll be a lot of gardens all over the place, and they will be guarded just like anything else would be. When it comes down to that situation, and it's an SHTF situation, all those things are going to be watched. Everything has to be. You're going to have people up 24 hours a day, no matter where you are, to keep an eye on things, okay? Let's see. So somebody just said Northern Canada, many people are already off-grid and preppers. You're right. You're absolutely right. If you end up in an SHTF situation, will you let your hair grow out and abandon being bald? I would probably try to stay bald as much as I possibly could until my razors ran out, to be honest with you. I like having my head shaved. I really do. And it's funny because you think, I got the big beard and stuff like that, but I really don't ever want to grow my hair back. Maybe I wouldn't be able to have a choice. Maybe I would have to. But if I did, I would have in the front here would still be very shiny. Build potato towers instead of rows. You are right. Great comment, Jeannie. Great advice. Building the towers up for potatoes, and potatoes are great, guys. They really are. A lot of starch. Great to have. They keep well, afterwards, and you can, use some of them, for, reusing them to grow more potatoes. So potatoes are awesome. And they, one potato can produce a bunch of potatoes. So definitely, look for that. Look for that. I'm storing razors for barter. Leah said that. That's a smart thing to do. Smart thing to do. It's having everything that you can use for barter is smart to do. And people will definitely, Edstead, welcome to the Edstead. Yeah, right. I like that. But yeah, we got, I lost my train of thought, guys. I apologize. DYI solar dehydrator. However you want to do it, guys. I mean, you can dehydrate stuff, without using a dehydrator. You can build something that you could just use for in the sun. That would be the time that you would want to be doing it. What's your number one advice for someone bugging out? No, but wow, God, I could go on and on with advice for people. The biggest advice that I could give anybody that's bugging out is have a game plan ahead of time. Be willing to roll with the punches that may not go exactly as you plan it to go. So have options, other options. But having a game plan is probably the biggest advice I could give somebody that was bugging out. Know where you're going, have a plan, know several ways to get there. And if you can have caches along the way to your retreat or wherever you're going, do that as well. So that's more than one thing, but that's what I would say. Truth always says bug out to where? It would really depend on where you're planning on going. It would really depend on where you're planning on going. So, that's why you got to really look at those type of things and kind of, put it into perspective of having that game plan. Know where you're going to go. Absolutely know where you're going to go. Purchased a sun oven, Bags of Love said that. Merry Christmas. Thank you again for the donation. And he says, if you can't garden, you will die very quickly. Gardening is going to be a big thing. But here's the other thing. Knowing how to fish, knowing how to trap, knowing how to hunt, those are going to be skills that are going to be really important as well. Silver Graham, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Barter homemade cookies for a 22. Barter homemade cookies for a 22 rifle. That's awesome. I love that. That's great. You must have good cookies then, I'll bet. I bet you have very good cookies. So that's awesome. I like to hear that. But yeah, bartering is a great way to do it. Make sure you have enough ammunition, Graham. I just want to let you know that. My rule of thumb, what I tell people, minimum of 2,000 rounds per weapon. If you can do that, that's a real good start. And once you get to that point, get more. So, Pat Martinez says store lots of fish hooks. Absolutely. Different size fish hooks, weights, bobbers, all those type of things. Fishing line, the different weights of fishing line, 15, 20, 30 pounds. Silver Graham, 2,000 rounds, minimum. And because 22 ammo is so cheap, I would say have at least 4,000, because then you could even have that for barter if you had to. Potatoes are a good source of heat and fuel. Yep, very true, Schmitty, very true. Bubba from Forrest Gump says shrimp, lots of shrimp. Yeah, exactly. If they're in an area where there's lots of shrimp, definitely go for it. Definitely. So. Kevin H said 22 pellet rifle is what I use. Unlimited ammo, no sound. Yeah, they have the 177 pellet guns too, and those will kill squirrels. They'll kill birds. They're really, really good for those type of things. You can get like 500 rounds of ammo for that, and it's really, really cheap. I think it's like, maybe $8 for 500 rounds of that type of ammo. Pellet gun is great to have. And again, think about the vermin that will be around after SHTF, rats and stuff like that as well, because of all the dead people and everything else. So again, the 177 pellet rifles, right? And those things, you can eat rats if you have to. It's still protein. It's still meat. Emil says sugar beets are a good crop as well. Yeah, guys, there's a lot of great crops. How to store packaged food like cake mixes. Yeah, exactly. In a few months now, there won't be anything to hunt and fish. Oh, in a few months after an SHTF event. You're right, Merry Christmas, there wouldn't be. There would be a lot, everything with the woods. Again, would depend on the time of year. It really would depend on the time of year. People that are hungry are going to try to get out there in the woods, and they're going to try to hunt, but they're going to freeze to death again, because people don't have that experience that aren't hunters now. And there's really not the number of hunters out there are going down and down. And, so yeah. George Glass, I just bought a 22 ammo, 1,300 rounds for $22. That is awesome. I don't know where you got that deal, but that's an awesome deal. Slingshot is a good idea. Robert just put that up there. Absolutely right. A slingshot, crossbow, guys. One of my guys in my group just bought a crossbow. It was a $600 crossbow. He got it for $200, and it didn't have any bolts with it, but he's going to end up getting bolts. But that's a great thing to have. Silent death, crossbows, compound bows. Absolutely. And again, know how to use them. That's important too. Just having it and not knowing is not going to help. Did you hear about the guy who killed the people in the mosque in New Zealand? Yes, I did hear about that today. I didn't do a video on that because everybody and their brother's doing a video on that. And as soon as you do that type of a video, they're going to demonetize you, and that's going to be the end of that. It's a terrible tragedy. Anytime that human life is lost, it's a tragedy. And senseless, of killing people it's absolutely There's no reason for it. But again, somebody had made the comment earlier, the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. So if they had somebody that was armed on premises, they could have stopped that. Because from what I've heard, he went back into one room 3 times and continued to shoot people in that particular room. So yeah, terrible, terrible tragedy, unnecessary. I don't care what religion you are. That it's totally unnecessary, and it's a terrible thing. Craig D says, I'm in New Zealand. Yeah, it's got to be horrible. It's got to be a horrible thing. Cricket Girl just said, you still need to be alert after SHTF like an EMP. The natural disasters will still occur, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquake, and you won't receive the alerts. Great comment. That is awesome. Mother Nature's still going to do what Mother Nature's going to do after, like, let's say, an EMP event. You're just not going to get the warnings anymore. So you need to be ready. It's like here in the Northeast, we can have a day where it's beautiful, the sun is out, and it's gorgeous, and then the next day, and even 12 hours later, we got a whiteout conditions, and we're getting a ton of snow. So you're not going to get those weather reports anymore. So that's a great and so you need to be situationally aware as well. Don't put yourself too far out of where you have safe areas to be. So that's a great comment. Yeah, Thomas Turner said, everybody give a thumbs up. Yeah, because we're getting close to the end here, guys. So yeah, if you give me a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. It just it keeps things going good. Thumbs up are awesome. So thank you for anybody that's doing that too. True, like Texas with tornadoes. Yeah, you're not gonna get any of those warnings anymore. The shooter live streamed his attack. I saw it. It was brutal. He goes back down and shoots down people in the head. Unbelievable. That's horrible. I know he had live streamed it. I know that's off of there now and it's gone. But horrible situation, guys. Terrible stuff. I don't wish violence on anybody, I'll be honest with you. Unfortunately, when SHTF happens, it's going to be a terrible thing. Mike, thank you again for the donation. I appreciate that. Co-op.com is having a killer sale on North Face and Columbia clothing, plus much more, all for all you northern folks. co-op.com. reico-op.com for the sales on gear. So thank you for that information. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you to put that up there. Oh, Kevin just said, can still be found, just saw it, is terrible, always be prepared. Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't want to see it. I really wouldn't. There's the person that did this is obviously very deranged. Anybody that would just go out and kill people randomly, intermittently, because of whatever reason. I don't care if it's something that I believe in 100% or don't believe in. Going out and killing somebody for that reason is not right, especially now while things are still relatively normal, if you will. After SHTF, guys, I'll be honest with you, all bets are off. I mean, and that's what you got to remember. When SHTF happens, and it is when it is the worst case scenario, all bets are off. So somebody just put on here, will CB radios work after an EMP type of event? No, they would not. You need to make sure that they are in a Faraday cage to protect them. Anything with any kind of electronic components is going to be fried in an EMP, okay? Anything like that is going to definitely be fried. So, that's definitely something to think about, guys, okay? And the biggest thing I would say, and Viking Preparedness said this today. When I watched the video, he made this. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're in large crowds, especially large crowds of unarmed people. Think about that. And that's great advice, realistically. There is a lot of crazy people out there, guys, a lot of crazy people. And, we got to be smart. It's a day and age where somebody wants to up the count and make a bigger showing than the last guy. And it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Can a microwave work as a Faraday cage? Not really. I've heard people say that they are good for that, but they're really not. You would have to have it really sealed up well. There's easier ways to make a Faraday cage than trying to use a microwave. Why not do it the right way and make sure it's done right? A lot of examples on on the internet here, guys. A lot of examples, okay? So, too many crazy fools now. Truth always just said that. You're right about that. You are right about that. Have you ever made a painkiller out of wild lettuce? No, I personally have not. I don't like painkillers myself, I'll be honest with you. And I know that wild lettuce is not addictive and it works just as good as morphine. So as far as killing pain, so I know that is it. I have it in my area. So that would definitely be something that I will use after an SHTF event. Okay. So, but I may put some of that up and put that away in case something happens in the wintertime. So that is definitely something that would be a smart thing to do. EMP kills your cars, generators, and everything else. Tim Green just said that. You are absolutely 100% correct. EMP is going to kill everything, guys. So unless you have it, protected in a Faraday cage, you are going to be, in big trouble. And again, I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. After an EMP happens, don't just start pulling out your good stuff. Give it 2 months. For 2 reasons. You don't want people to know what you have, and it makes you a target that you have something and you have power. And the second reason is because they may come back 6 weeks later with another EMP to try to fry everybody that pulled all their stuff out of their stores. So something to think about. Okay. So anyway, we are at the end of the show here, guys. Hour goes by so fast every time. It really, really does. A lot of great questions, guys. Thank you for the questions. Love it. I love doing these shows and being able to talk with people. I could probably do 2 hours, to be honest with you. But it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. And we share a lot of great information, which is fantastic, okay? I like to end all my shows the same. Remember, guys, we are all in this together. That is really important to remember, okay? When things are going bad here, just stay focused and work on what you need to do to protect your own, okay? And, if you can work enough to protect your friends and stuff like that too, and the people in your group, do it, okay? Remember, hug and kiss the ones you love. Tell them every single day. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. We never know what's going to happen. So it's really, really important, okay? And remember STD, guys. It's one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can do it. The only one that's going to stop you from getting there is yourself. Nobody else can stop you, okay? Stay positive, Stay away from the negativity, guys. Negative people want to bring you down, and it happens, and you stay away from that and stay positive, and you'll be fine, all right? I will talk to you all tomorrow. And again, Sunday, the talk on Sunday, we're going to be doing it on a pandemic. So we're going to talk about pandemics, what to do, what not to do. Okay. So I will see everybody tomorrow's video, of course, and then I will see you for the live show on Sunday. Have a great night. I will talk to you all later. Prepper Nurse 1 out for now.